Am I live, people? Am I live? Can you see and hear me clearly? Am I clearly audible as well as visible to each and every one of you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box if I'm clearly audible. Okay, I think I'm clearly audible as well as visible to everyone. There is no problem related to the network. All right. So what are we going to do today? Okay. Now, today is the Term 2 SST Marathon with me, Amiraj, in which we will be revising our Term 2 Class 10 SST syllabus. Alright, yes. So sorry for not having made any session for science since I was very busy with my sciences, right? I was just revising all the things, that's why I couldn't get time for science. But for social studies, definitely I am gonna give my best so that you can get a good score, right? How many of you agree to this point? Wait a second. Okay, fine. I think video, audio, everything is clear. Surely. So shall we get started? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so we are getting started with the nationalism in India. This is a very important chapter. You all know that. And this is the only chapter in your history. So I would recommend all of you to study this very well. Each and every line of this chapter is important. Let's start with the First World War, Khilafat, and the non-cooperation movement. So the first thing that comes to our mind is the First World War. What impact did the First World War make on India? What do you think? India was under colonial rule. India was under the British rule, right? So it definitely created a new economic related to money, finance, all that political situation, and a new political situation as well worldwide. And India faced a lot of problem during this war period, right? Which war am I talking about? Just a second. Over here, from this terminology war, I am talking about the First World War. Clear? Done. Understanding the economic and political situation, I will make sure that you get 10 on 10 on history. Come on, let's do it. Number one, defense expenditure increased. Defense, who does the defense? Army. So in army, whatever investment you make, whatever expenses are there, they were increased, right? For the defense, for defending our country, for protecting our country. Custom duties increased. What were these custom duties? They were the taxes to be paid, right? Already the income was low due to the economic depression, you know that, as well as taxes were put on the people, because of which people were in trouble, isn't it? Introduction of income tax, that whatever income you are going to get, you will have to pay a tax. You'll have to give some of the income to the government. What is this now? Forced recruitment in the army. In the villages, villagers were forced to join the army, to be recruited in the army, which was absolutely wrong. And prices of food grains doubled between 1913 and 1918, right? You know, food grains, they are generally cheap, right? Why? So that everybody could afford it. But during that time, the food grains prices doubled. They increased so much that a normal man could not afford so much, isn't it? Okay. Now this was the new economic and political situation. Now problems after the war. So here we are talking about post-war situation. Correct? After the war means the post-war situation. Clear? Great. Good, good. Okay, acute shortage of food. So due to the shortage of food, why? Because I did not tell about the first point. First point is crops failed in many parts of India. So the crops had failed, like your corn, your wheat, your rice, because of which there was shortage of food. If crops failed, it means they could not grow and hence food was less. Conceptual. If food is less, what is going to be the consequence? Terrible consequence. Famine and epidemic. Famine is You can say when there is a lot of shortage of food, epidemic when a large group of people have the same disease, okay, and 12 to 13 million people perished, 12 to 13 million people they died, okay. In such a critical situation, new leader appeared and suggested a new mode of struggle. We'll talk about Gandhiji now, right? Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi is the new leader that we are talking about in this particular chapter, and it revolves around Mahatma Gandhi only for most of the time. Okay, good. Amazing. Now, number one point to be understood is that he returned to India in January 15 from South Africa because he had gone there to study law. You know that. Advocated noble method of mass agitation called satyagraha. Satyagraha was a noble method of mass agitation when a group of people are collecting together, gathering together to protest for a particular thing, to influence the government to take up their wish, to accept their wishes. And it was a novel method, it was a novel method, okay. It was totally non-violent. There was no violence involved in satyagraha, as you know. The idea of satyagraha, question is asked, you know what it is. It emphasized the power of truth, the need to search for truth, the importance of speaking truth, right? And that we should avoid violence, isn't it? It suggested that physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. Oppressor is our foe or enemy. Believed dharma of non-violence could unite all the Indians. Now, Satyagraha movements, Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda. From here, your map work can be asked. So we need to be very much sure where these places exactly lie. Clear? Champaran, 1917 Satyagraha was in Champaran, Bihar, Kheda, Gujarat. These were some of the Satyagraha movements launched by Gandhiji. What was there in Champaran movement was for indigo farmers, right? This movement was for indigo farmers, and he inspired peasants to struggle against oppressive plantation system. So you know, in Champaran, Bihar, indigo was compulsory to grow, right? Because the Britishers liked it. But you know, food grains were more important than indigo. That is why they were struggling. Oppressive plantation system. Kheda, Gujarat, launched for peasants affected by crop failure and plague epidemic. So, since in Kheda, the peasants were affected by crop failure, their crop had failed and they had a plague epidemic. Plague means basically different insects eat your crops, isn't it? That is why this happens. And they were not able to pay their revenue, they were not able to pay their tax. That is why they were demanding relaxation in revenue collection. It means the revenue collection should not be very strict. The landlord should not force them to submit the revenue. Isn't it? 1918, we have Ahmedabad. Now, Ahmedabad can be easily related with, just a second. Ahmedabad can be related with cotton. Okay, so it was for the cotton mill workers, and workers wanted to raise rise. Sorry, it should be. Wait a second. Mhm. It is rise in the wages to meet their expenses after prices of essential commodities rose. Since the essential commodities prices rose, they wanted to limit. I mean, they wanted to increase their salary, okay, to meet their expenses. Talking about the Rowlett Act now. Okay, I hope the concept is clear. Oh, great. Talking about the Rowlett Act. Now, Rowlett Act is very important. You know that it will be asked in the exam, right? What happened in this? It was passed through the Imperial Legislative Council in 1919 and opposed by the Indian members. Government enormous powers to repress political activities. They could suppress the political activities of India, and they allowed the detention of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. This was really bad. Okay, so basically in history you'll have to learn the dates, you'll have to learn the things, right? Memorization is important. You can just have a revision right now. I'm not explaining in depth. It's just for your revision. Hello SS, how are you doing? Hello. Do like, share, and subscribe with everyone, right? Okay. Okay. Talking about the Satyagraha. What do you mean by this? Anybody? Okay. Okay. Fine. Actually, I'm not a Bhaiya. I'm of your age only. Yeah, SS. Okay. On 6th April 1919, let's understand what happened on this day. There was a nationwide hartal. Hartal when people are like adamant to fight, when people want to do something, right? That is why rallies were organized in various cities. Workers went on the strike in railway workshops. Shops closed down, right? And that is why, since so many things were happening, the Britishers were agitated. Britishers got angry. Britishers said, "We won't leave you now." So that is why they decided to clamp down on nationalists. They decided to fire on nationalists. Local leaders were arrested. Gandhiji was barred from entering Delhi, right? So Gandhiji was not allowed to enter Delhi. Now, a very important board question, that is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Very, very important. On 10th April 1919, police in Amritsar opened fire on a peaceful procession. So, during this time in April, there is Baisakhi festival for the Punjabis and Sikhs. So, what happened in Amritsar? Some people went to that Jallianwala Bagh for protesting against particular thing, a British policy. Some went for attending the Baisakhi fair. It was obvious. But General Dyer had imposed the martial law. He did not allow anybody to enter over there. But the people were not aware about it. The people thought it was a normal thing, right? That is why when the people entered, General Dyer asked his police troop to fire on the people, right? And this is the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Yes, yes, SS. Great. Hmm. Now, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, 13th April 1980. Large crowd gathered in the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh. As I told you, some came to protest against the government's new repressive measures, some new bad things, some new bad policies that the government had launched, and some came to attend the Baisakhi fair. Dyer entered the area. Dyer is the name of the general. Okay, block the exit points, whatever, suppose this is the entry, this is the exit, so he blocked them. Okay, he did not allow the people to go. Opened fire on the crowd, killing hundreds. So hundreds of people were killed, right? Many of them were unaware of the martial law that was imposed. Dyer said his object was to produce a moral effect, to create in the minds of satyagrahis a feeling of terror and awe, to make the satyagrahis afraid of the Britishers. Right? Till now, they were very courageous. The Satyagrahis had full courage. They were brave. But due to this particular incident, there was some sort of fear in the minds of people. Yes or no? Let me know in the chat box if it is clear. General Dyer was basically a British person, right? A British policeman, you can say, who asked the people not to enter this area. Okay? General Dyer was a British officer, you can say, police officer, and he imposed martial law. What martial law said that nobody can enter Jallianwala Bagh, and the people had entered there. Okay, because the people had entered, he fired on the people. He killed the people. Okay? Aftermath of massacre, the consequences of this incident of Jallianwala Bagh, strikes and clashes with the police. People started clashing, fighting with the police. That how can you kill so many people, right? They just came to attend the Baisakhi fair, isn't it? The government responded with brutal repression. Brutal means they responded very badly. They again moved to violence. Okay, according to Gandhiji, violence was not good. Non-violence was the noble method, right? So Tagrahis were forced to rub their noses on the ground. It means they were forced to be inferior. Okay. Okay. Mahatma Gandhi called off the movement. Crowds took the streets in many North Indian towns. So this had happened. Now Khilafat issue and Khalifa. Okay, talking about that. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Please share it with your friends so that everybody will be able to attend, right? Now, Khilafat issue and Khalifa. Now, the First World War had ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. So, Turkey country was defeated in that. And there were rumors that the harsh peace treaty was going to be imposed on Ottoman Empire, the spiritual head of the Islamic world, or the Khalifa. So, Khalifa is the head. Khalifa is basically the Urdu word for, you can say, leader. Okay, so the leader of Ottoman Turkey, okay, the spiritual head of the Islamic world. So the head of basically the entire Islamic world or of the entire Muslim community, the Khalifa, he had lost the world war and he had to sign a peace treaty. See, what happens when a particular person loses a war, he has to listen to the winning side. The winning side can even kill that particular defeated king. And the Khilafat issue gave Gandhiji the opportunity to bring the Hindus and Muslims on a common platform. Hindus and Muslims were always divided, they were never equal, and they had various differences. So Gandhiji wanted to bring these communities together. Yeah. So that is why All India Committee, Khilafat Committee was set up. Clear this much? Hi TX Max, how are you doing? TX Max, yes. Hello, hello. Hello to everyone. Do share it with all your friends. Okay. Now, formed in Bombay, this Khilafat committee was formed in Bombay, March 1919, to defend Khalifa's temporal power. Okay. To make sure that Khalifa does not lose his power. Now, September 1920, Calcutta session of Congress, map question. Market. Resolution passed to start NCM in support of Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. So in September 1920, the non-cooperation movement was passed to start. They were thinking of starting this non-cooperation movement to support the Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. Swaraj means खुद का राज्य, कि हक होना, कि you can say having the right on a particular land. Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali began discussing with Gandhiji for a united mass action that people had to come together to fight, okay, to oppose need for non-cooperation movement. Why do you think Gandhiji wanted to bring in non-cooperation movement? Because he said that Britishers have been able to establish themselves in India just because Indians always supported them, just because Indians always accepted their policies. They never refused, right? So they basically cooperated with the Britishers in everything. That is why Britishers have been successful. But if we Indians stop cooperating with the Britishers, if we do not listen to them, then their rule will ultimately end. Okay? Done. Now, how did the NCM begin? Surrender of titles and honors. Okay, the titles that they used to have. Boycott of civil services, army, police, courts, legislative council. So we are boycotting all these things, all these institutions, government institutions. Okay. Okay, and do call your friends in so that they'll be able to watch the session. In case the government used repression, a full civil disobedience campaign would be launched. This was the point. Through the summer of 1920, Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali toured extensively, mobilizing popular support for the movement. So they started spreading the idea of NCM. Okay, they started convincing people for going against the Britishers, for not cooperating with the Britishers, isn't it? Okay. Now, Congress was reluctant to boycott the council election scheduled for November 1920. Okay, so Congress did not want to boycott the council elections which were there, okay, the government election. It feared movement might lead to popular violence. But if we boycotted the political activities, the elections, it might lead to violence. It might lead to destruction. Finally, at the Congress session at Nagpur, again, map. Nagpur, map. Okay. In December 1920, a compromise was worked out. Non-cooperation program was adopted. So in September 1920, non-cooperation was passed. Okay, okay. It was thought of, I mean, adopting it later on, but not adopted at that time. In Calcutta, the discussion was there. At Nagpur, it was finally adopted. Okay, now NCM has been adopted, and now we see that how different people, I mean, how they understood NCM, their meaning of Swaraj, their ideology, right? That is the different strands of the movement. Sir, who was Ottoman Turkey? Ottoman Turkey is basically a country. Okay, the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman is basically Muslim empire, right? The Muslims who were there, the Muslims had lost in the First World War. That is why it could be possible that they would have to compromise or to sacrifice something, isn't it? I hope you got the idea. Hmm. The non-cooperation Khilafat movement began in 1921. So in 1921, it started. Now, various social groups participated in this movement, each with its own specific aspiration. Aspiration here means their aim or their goal, what they wanted to achieve. What did they want to achieve? That was totally different. Various social groups had participated in that. Number one, in towns. In towns and cities, how people started the movement. It started with the middle class participation. Middle class people, you know, you can relate to it. Okay, so it started with the middle class people. How? The students and the teachers left government controlled schools. They said, Bhaiya, we are not going to, continue our work. Students said that we cannot study in the government school. Teachers said we cannot teach in the government schools and colleges. And the lawyers left the court. Okay, lawyers left the government courts. Council elections were boycotted in most provinces except Madras, where the Justice Party felt that entering the council was a way of gaining some power. So council elections, elections, political elections that take place, they were boycotted. They were not done in most of the provinces. Provinces here mean the states, because at that time states were not there. It was termed as province. Clear? Okay. Yes, SS. Great. Okay. Students and teachers left. Acha, this I've told you. Council elections, they were boycotted except in Madras. What happened in this? The Justice Party was there in this particular state, and they thought if we are going to move to the political world, we would get some power, because this party was of the non-Brahmins. Very, very important. Justice Party was of the non-Brahmins. And from the beginning, Brahmins have got special powers, special advantages in our society, isn't it? And Justice Party thought that if we would enter the politics, we would also get some power that the Brahmins had. Effect of NCM on the economic front, how it had, what impact non-cooperation movement had on the economic front. Let's understand about that. Before that, you can ask your doubts. If any doubt is there. Okay, great. Foreign goods were boycotted, isn't it? The foreign goods, which were, imported from foreign, they were not taken. Liquor shops were picketed. Foreign cloth was burned in huge bonfire, right? Because they wanted to promote their nation's strength. They wanted to replace everything with Indian goods. Import of foreign cloth halved between 1921 1922. So as I said, they were not importing the foreign cloth, right? Because they wanted to promote satyagraha. They wanted to not cooperate with the British. What was the result? The production of Indian textile mills and handlooms increased, since now people were dependent on the Indian clothes. British clothes, tata bye bye, Indian clothes, aja, right? Merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods of foreign finance trade. So they refused foreign trade also, right? But now the question comes that so much of effort, so many efforts were going on of the people, but then why it slowed down? Why was there break in the non-cooperation movement? A kind of a speed breaker. Is map coming in term 2? Definitely SS map is there in term 2. Map is there. Let me tell you the map items. From history, you have 1 mark map. Okay, one question. From geography, you have 2 mark map. Okay, 2 questions are going to be asked in geography. From history, 1 question. What type of maps? Satyagraha movements I discussed just now. Congress meetings, right? Congress meetings can be asked, and the various other names of places that you have read. From geography, chapter 5, 6, and 7, all map items are to be assessed. Okay. Now talking about why did Indians slow down. Number one, expensive khadi clothes. See, if we are not importing the British goods, then Indian clothes must be produced on a large scale. But this was not happening because khadi clothes were very expensive. And just because of clothes, people could not afford them. Right? People could not spend all their money on the clothes. So it was not affordable. Hence, people again started purchasing the British clothes. Now, British institutions were boycotted. Since they were boycotted, Indian institutions had to rise. They had to be replaced with them. But Indian institutions were not developed. They were very slow to come up, to rise. That is why students and teachers had to join back the government colleges. There was no other option. Similarly, lawyers also joined back the courts because there were no Indian government courts. Right? That is why this problem was occurring. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Talking about the rebellion in the countryside by the peasants. This is the peasant movement, okay, in our. Can somebody tell me what was the movement against? I'm trying to ask you who was the enemy in this. Let's see if somebody can tell. Who was the enemy? Come on, of the peasants. Anybody? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know. Who was the enemy of the our peasants? Now it's your turn to answer. Yes. Okay, fine. Let's start. In our peasants were led by Baba Ramchandra, a sannyasi who had been earlier to Fiji as an indentured laborer. As a laborer, he went to Fiji, okay, and then he came back to India and led that movement, Baba Ramchandra. And the movement was against oppressive talukdars and landlords, the different money lenders. So money lenders and landlords are the enemies. Whoa, the picture. You can treat it like a movie. If you consider it a movie, then it will be easy for you to remember. So just understand Baba Ramchandra, our hero, peasants, supportive characters, talukdars, landlords, villains. Okay, the peasant movement demanded reduction of revenue, abolition of begar, and social boycott of oppressive landlords. They wanted the revenue, the taxes which these landlords took to minimize. Abolition of begar. What was begar? Working for those talukdars without any wages, without any money. So how can you work for free? Right? The landlords are not your relatives. Even relatives don't work for free. And social boycott of oppressive landlords. Okay? The oppressive, the very brutal landlords had to be boycotted. Yeah. Repeat question. Okay. My question was who's the villain in this particular picture? Who's the villain? So the answer is talukdars and landlords. Nine Dhobi bands, who's a nine barber and Dhobi washermen, were organized by panchayats to deprive landlords of the services of even barbers and washermen. So barbers and washermen organized panchayats, their protests, okay, to fight against talukdars, right? In June 1920, Jawaharlal Nehru began going around the villages in Awadh, talking to the villagers and trying to understand their grievances. So J.N. Nehru, sorry, J.L. Nehru, he started talking to the villagers and understand their problems, right? Now by October, जून में he started talking, right? जून में वो बात करने लगे, and अक्टूबर में औध किसान सभा was set up, which was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Baba Chandra, and a few others. So Audh Kisan Sabha was for the poor peasants. Within a month, over 300 branches had been set up in the villages around the region. However, the peasant movement was developed in forms that the Congress leadership was unhappy with. So, due to this kind of a movement, Congress was quite unhappy. Now, the reason behind the movement failure. Why did this movement fail? This chapter is lengthy but important, you know. This chapter is a bit lengthy. Okay. And do let me know which marathon do you want tomorrow. Okay. My question is, which marathon do you want tomorrow? Civics, geography, or economy? Which one? I know history must be difficult for some. What about others? Do you want civics, geography, or economics? Come on. Tell me. Tell me. Which marathon do you want next? Civics, geography, economics. Then we'll continue. भाई आवाज तेरी नहीं आ रही है और हिंदी में पढ़ा. I think that I'm clearly audible. Just increase your volume. Yes. Oh my god, I don't know what happened. I think my voice is clear. Chaliye, let's continue. The reason behind movement failure. I think voice is clear, very much clear. Okay. Houses of talukdars and merchants were attacked. Number one. So violence took place. You know that the movement had to be non-violent, but violence took place because the houses of talukdars and merchants were attacked. Bazaars were looted. Okay? They looted the bazaars. Grain hoards were taken over. उनके grain ले लिए थे, right? Grain मतलब whatever they grow, isn't it? Geography says SS. Ab ठीक है, fine. And do share it with everyone and hit on that like button. Let's cross at least 200. I mean, at least 3 to 4 likes. Yes. Huh. Local leaders told peasants that Gandhiji had declared that land was to be redistributed among the poor. Right? Local leaders ने गांधी जी को बताया कि land को अब हमें गरीब लोगों में distribute करना है. Right? The name of the Mahatma was being invoked to sanction all action and inspiration. तो महात्मा गांधी उनके inspiration बन गए क्योंकि उनका non-violence का वो जो ideology था that was liked by the people. Talking about rebelling in the countryside. Countryside doesn't mean country. Countryside means villages. Villages basically by the tribal people. Now we move to South India. Okay? Now we move to South India. Okay. Goodam Hills of Andhra Pradesh, we all know that. A militant guerrilla movement spread in the early 1920s. Militant guerrilla movement, this is the name of the movement that had spread. The colonial government had closed large forest areas, preventing people from entering the forests. So you know that the tribal people, the Goodam Hills, जहाँ पर वो रहते थे, वहाँ के tribal people, they wanted to collect the material from the forest, right? They collected fruits. Their life was present inside the forest, isn't it? Geography, ठीक है, SS. I have noted that down. Next marathon is going to be of geography. Fine. The colonial government had, acha, I told you about this. Their livelihood as well as traditional rights were affected. They thought that ये तो हमारा right है forest में जाना because forest तो हमारा birthplace है, right? Like suppose आप इंडिया में रहते हो, for example, let's say you live in Mumbai, Maharashtra, okay, and somebody is not allowing you to enter. How would you feel? कि मेरी city में मुझे ही allow नहीं कर रहे. This is literally unfair. Livelihood would be affected. आप रहोगे कहाँ पर, right? As well as your traditional rights. मेरा tradition है मुंबई से, मेरा culture जुड़ा हुआ है, right? People were tired of working as forced beggar for road construction. तो ट्राइबल लोगों को कहा कि अब आप रोड बनाओ and हम आपको पैसे भी नहीं देंगे. So tribal people have to construct the roads and they were not given any wages. ठीक है. अब पिक्चर में आए हमारे हीरो. Very very important. This concept is very important to understand. Okay. Can you explain in Hindi, please? Okay. Everybody is requesting me to explain in Hindi. Okay, let me explain this topic in Hindi if you people really want that. Talking about Alluri Sitaram Raju. कौन था ये? He was a tribal person. बहुत ही नॉर्मल ट्राइब का ही था वो. बट स्पेशल क्या था कि वो बोलता था दैट उसके पास बहुत सारी पार्ट्स हैं, उसके पास डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ पार्ट्स हैं. लाइक he could survive the bullet shots. अगर कोई उसे गोली मारता था तो वो मरेगा नहीं. एंड उसके पास मैजिकल पार्ट्स थे लोगों को हील करने के लिए, राइट. एंड रेबल्स प्रोक्लेम्ड हिम एज इनकार्नेशन ऑफ गॉड, कि आप भगवान का वो हो. व्हाट डू वी कॉल इनकार्नेशन इन हिंदी? रूप हो, अवतार. व्हाट? हाँ, कि आप गॉड का अवतार हो, राइट. Okay, people persuaded people to wear khadi and gave up drinking. कि khadi पहनो and do not drink, right? But at the same time, he asserted that India could be liberated only by the use of force, not non-violence. Important point to understand. एक second. ठीक है. He was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, महात्मा गांधी को वो फॉलो करता. क्या महात्मा गांधी के प्रिंसिपल्स उससे मैच हुए? नो. व्हाई? बिकॉज वो वायलेंस में बिलीव करता था कि मारा मारी करो तभी हमें जो हम चाहते हैं वो मिलेगा. whereas महात्मा गांधी टोल्ड कि नॉन वायलेंस से आपको सब कुछ मिलेगा जो आपको चाहिए. तो ये भी आइडियोलॉजी में डिफरेंस आता है, ये स्वराज के अंडरस्टैंडिंग में डिफरेंस आता है कि एक जगह ट्राइबल पीपल वायलेंस को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं ड्यू टू अल्लूरी सीताराम राजू, महात्मा गांधी नॉन वायलेंस की बात कर रहे हैं. तो वो कैसे बोल सकता है कि वो महात्मा गांधी को मानता है? राइट, ही कैन नॉट से दैट. द गुदम हिल्स अटैक पुलिस स्टेशन. तो अब उन्होंने पुलिस स्टेशन पर अटैक किया. ठीक है. राजू was captured and executed. Executed मतलब killed. Over time became a folk hero. Folk hero मतलब उस टाइम का एक हीरो, brave person, ठीक है, of that particular area. Attempted to kill British officers and carried on guerrilla warfare for achieving Swaraj. Guerrilla warfare is mara mari, you can say, लोगों को मारना, right? So all this is guerrilla warfare. Hello भाई, साले reply नहीं करेगा क्यों? भाग जा. Okay. Hello Vijay the Master. I could not watch your chats. Okay. Sorry for that. I did not watch your chats. Okay. Talking about Swaraj and the plantations. तो plantation का मतलब यहाँ है the tea plantations. Plantations मतलब bushes लगती है ना tea की. You know that very well. So in the plantation in Assam, what exactly happened? We'll understand that now. For plantation workers, Swaraj meant right to move freely. कि वो कहीं भी जा सके अपनी मर्जी से, उनको कोई सेंसरशिप ना लगे, मतलब कोई रोके ना. Hi, Rising Wangchuk, how are you? Actually, I'm not watching the chats right now. Okay. It is also meant that it meant retaining a link with the village from which they had come. So जिस village से आए हैं उससे उनको link मिलना चाहिए, उनको allow मतलब permission मिलनी चाहिए for going anywhere. But the problem was that under the Inland Immigration Act of 1859, plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission. So in this act, plantation workers को allow नहीं किया था कि आप tea gardens छोड़ के नहीं जा सकते without permission. You have to take our permission. Okay. What happened to the people? Where have they gone? Am I there? I don't know. I think people want it in English, maybe. Where everyone. Where has everybody gone? Okay, when they heard of the non-cooperation movement, thousands of workers defied the authorities. Huh? Hmm? Interruption. Hmm. Uh-huh. Okay, I'm back. There was some problem in my area, so now we can get back to the concept that we were studying, right? They believed that Gandhi Raj was coming and everybody would be given land in their villages, but they never reached their destination. So what they did, they defied the authorities. They deceived them. What we call dhoka dena in Hindi, right? This happened, right? Great. But they never reached their destination. They could never reach the place where they wanted to go. Why? Because stranded on the way by a railway and steamer strike, they were caught by the police and brutally beaten up. So the police did not allow them to reach their destination. Summary to be read as a homework because it is not that important. Now, talking about the halt to the non-cooperation movement. Everybody has gone. So, should I watch your chats or teach? That is the confusion, right? If I start watching your chats and I won't be able to teach you, that is the only thing, right? So, one thing has to be chosen out of these. Now, at Chorichura in Gorakhpur, a peaceful demonstration in a bazaar turned into a violent clash with the police, and because of this incident, महात्मा गांधी कॉल्ड अप द मूवमेंट. तो चौरी चौरा में वायलेंस हो गया था क्योंकि लोगों को लगा कि हमें पुलिस के साथ लड़ाई करनी है. लड़ाई हुई, उसकी वजह से महात्मा गांधी को बुरा लगा क्योंकि उनका मानना था कि नॉन वायलेंस से ही सब कुछ होगा. तो सिंस दे broke this law, this principle of महात्मा गांधी of non violence, महात्मा गांधी ने कहा कि अब हम नॉन कोऑपरेशन को यहीं पर समाप्त करेंगे. अब हम इसको कंटिन्यू नहीं करेंगे, राइट? Clear? In February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi withdrew the non-cooperation movement as it turned violent in many places. तो जैसा मैंने बोला, वायलेंस हो गया था, मारामारी शुरू हो गई. महात्मा गांधी को ये बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं था, तो इसलिए उन्होंने नॉन कोऑपरेशन मूवमेंट पर हॉल्ट लगा दिया, यानी कि बंद कर दिया. टॉकिंग अबाउट द सिविल डिसोबीडियंस, नॉन कोऑपरेशन इनफ नहीं था क्योंकि नॉन कोऑपरेशन में आप सिर्फ कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रहे हो, बट आप ब्रिटिशर्स के लॉ तो फॉलो कर ही रहे हो ना, राइट? एंड ब्रिटिशर्स तभी समझेंगे अकॉर्डिंग टू महात्मा गांधी जब हम उनकी बात रिफ्यूज करेंगे, when we are going to break the laws that have been made by the Britishers. That was the meaning of the civil disobedience movement. Okay. Okay. We are going to end the session in a few minutes, right? We won't continue it for very long. I think आपण continue नहीं करू शकत. At least for now. Session संपणार आहे. Right? Tired of mass struggles, some Congress leaders wanted to participate in elections to the provincial council that had been set up. So Congress leaders were very tired of these mass agitations, of gathering in masses and then protesting against the Britishers, right? And they wanted that it was important to oppose British policies within the council. Yeah. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru formed the Swaraj Party within the Congress to argue for a return to council politics. So C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru है, आप ऐसे learn कर लीजिए इन नेम को. एंड इन्होंने स्वराज पार्टी फॉर्म की थी किसके लिए, जिससे वो मतलब डिस्कशन कर सके कि हमें काउंसिल पॉलिटिक्स को वापस लाना है. एंड यंग लीडर्स लाइक जवाहरलाल नेहरू, सुभाष चंद्र बोस प्रेस फॉर मोर रेडिकल मास एजिटेशन, मतलब उनको थोड़ा सा stronger mass agitation चाहिए था. And they also hoped for full independence. They did not want half or partial independence. They wanted full independence. Talking about the two factors. Okay, after these factors we are going to end, and I'll be continuing with geography marathon, right? Because this chapter would never finish. Okay, so just 4 minutes more, then we are gonna end. Two factors that shaped the Indian politics towards late 1920s. Indian politics को उन्होंने shape किया था, structure बनाया था. World wide economic depression. Economic depression मतलब कि बहुत ही बुरी स्थिति उस टाइम पर. Simon Commission talking about the worldwide economic depression. जब एग्रीकल्चरल प्राइसेस फॉल करता है ना, जब गिरते हैं तो पूरी कंट्री एक टर्मोइल जैसे सिचुएशन में आ जाती है. क्यों? क्योंकि फूड नहीं होता. पेजेंट्स कैसे सरवाइव करेंगे अगर उनके क्रॉप्स सेल नहीं होंगे तो, राइट? सो पेजेंट्स फाउंड इट डिफिकल्ट टू सर्वाइव बिकॉज़ देयर हार्वेस्ट्स वर स्पॉइल्ड. हाउ कुड दे पे देयर रेवेन्यू? सो बाय 1930 द कंट्री साइड वाज इन टर्मोइल. बहुत ही ब्रूटल सिचुएशन में थी, राइट? Clear? And demand for agricultural goods fell and the exports declined. So exports to different countries also declined. Simon Commission, Tory government was set up, right? The commission. Tory government एक government है, British की government, and इन्होंने बोला कि हम एक commission बनाएंगे, एक group of members बनाएंगे जो constitution system में कुछ changes लाएंगे, ठीक है? But the problem was this commission did not have any Indian member. अब आप इंडिया में सेट कर रहे हो ये काउंसिल एंड इंडियंस को ही नहीं लोगे तो मतलब क्या है? आप ब्रिटेन में सेट कर लो फिर एक काउंसिल, ब्रिटेन में बना लोगे, सारे ब्रिटिश मेंबर्स चाहिए तो, राइट? बट उनको तो इंडिया में ही बनानी थी, बना भी ली, इंडियन मेंबर भी नहीं रखा. इसीलिए जैसे ही साइमन कमीशन इंडिया में आया, इंडियंस ने बोला कि साइमन गो बैक, मतलब साइमन तुम जाओ, वी डोंट वांट यू, वी आर हैप्पी विद व्हाट वी हैव, राइट? Congress and Muslim League protested against the commission. Congress Muslim Leagues also protested. Okay. We'll continue from demand for Purna Swaraj in the next session. Okay. And wait a second. Let me take a new slide. Let me tell you something very important. That is tomorrow, that is 12th of May. We will be having the geography marathon, right? At 10 a.m. most probably. Okay, 10 a.m. Why? Because in the evening you'll have to do your self study and all that. 10 a.m. or 5 p.m. So make sure that you are ready for that, right? You need to be mentally prepared for that marathon. Everyone has gone, really, right? So we will be having the marathon. I'll be telling you map also. We'll be doing map work. We'll be doing the sample question paper at the same time. So we will be going through everything that is needed, right? Okay. Session को अब end करना पड़ेगा. Reason is that it is the time to say goodbye. So in case you people have any doubts left, you can ask. Come on. It's the time for you to ask your doubts. Any doubt to anybody, kindly ask in the comments. Hindi में पढ़ाओ, Hindi में पढ़ाओ. Not everybody is comfortable with teaching in Hindi, right? And you are studying in an English medium school, second thing. So it is a must to be able to understand in English, I think. By now, you must have been fluent in English. 14 people watched it. I wanted those 14 together. Chaliye, let's end the stream then. If everything is fine with everybody. Done. In the light. Oh my god, this widget. Too much, literally. So we'll continue the next time. Till that time, please, please, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And whatever you want from me, let me know in the comment section. I'll bring that session for you. Because we are doing hard work for you only, right? And I want you all to prosper. I want you all to give your best in your social studies exam. Be how it goes. That doesn't matter. Your hard work, your dedication, everything matters, right? Great. Très bien. And for French also, we'll be having a lot of interesting stuff, so do not miss that. It's time to end the session. I'm ending over here. I'm signing off. Bye bye.